everyone, it's Mr. Lobos here, and today we are reviewing the element of design. In your sketchbooks, you will choose a silhouette to use to express each element of design, along with definitions to use as reference for future assignments. For this assignment, you will need your sketchbook, pencil, colored pencils, rulers, scissors, as well as an object to create a silhouette. You can go into a Word document and use clip art, image, or any Google image. I chose an ice cream cone, but I encourage you to try something else, maybe a music note or a football or a flower. It's up to you, but be creative. The first thing you're going to do is draw out your template using the ruler and pencil. Starting at the top of the page, measure up to 1.5 inches. At that mark, you're then going to turn your ruler to make a horizontal line going across your paper. Now take your ruler and measure from the line down to the paper. You're going to make a mark at 3 inches, and then again you're going to make another mark at 6 inches. Again, turn your ruler horizontal to make lines going over the marks you just created. So you'll be creating a horizontal line over the 3-inch mark, and then again another horizontal line over the 6-inch mark. You should now have 4 sections from top to bottom. Next, you're going to take your ruler and measure it along that first line again. Measuring at 2 3/4, you'll make a mark. And then you're going to make a mark also at 5.5 inches. Now you're going to take your ruler and along that first mark you made, you're going to measure all the way down to the end of your paper. And you'll have a nice vertical line going straight down. Notice now how you have a big rectangle to the right. That's where you're going to be writing your definitions for each element. Now you're going to go to your second mark and you're going to make another vertical line going down, but you're stopping at that second line. So again, you have that nice rectangle later for definitions. You should now have 7 boxes for your 7 elements. In the top 1.5-inch box, write elements of design and get creative with it. Now using the image you printed out, and again, before you print it out, make sure the size of your silhouette will fit in the boxes. But once it's printed out, you will cut it out and begin drawing your silhouettes. I have fastened this part of the video up just so it didn't take up that much time, but take your time doing your silhouettes as you draw them all out. So now I am finishing up this silhouette in this box, but as you can see, I skipped the box before, and I'm also going to skip the box after, because we are going to be using shapes to draw out our image. Now our template is complete, and we can get started and going over all of the elements of design. The first element we are going to do is line. Line can be used to define shapes and figures, but also indicate motion, emotion, and other elements. We use line to draw out our silhouette of the ice cream cone. We use dashes to include some texture. We did cross-hatching in the cone. We added other shapes and lines to create our sprinkles. We added some stippling along the sides, some polka dots, and other lines as well. The next element is color, which consists of hues when light strikes an object and it is reflected back to the eye. So for the ice cream cone, I started from a light blue to a darker shade. And then I also did my background in a gradient as well, but I went from light at the bottom to darker on top. So when using your lightest color, which is your white, that's going to be your tint, and black is always going to be your shade when making colors darker. Next up is value, which is lightness or darkness of a given hue. So you can see that I used a pencil to draw the ice cream cone, and you can see where I applied darker or more pressure in the cone where you see the lines, and then I blended in the background to give it some texture. And going up, I made the sides darker of the cone to give it more shape to it in my value. And with the actual ice cream, I made the sprinkles darker, but the ice cream I made a little bit lighter. So for texture, it's all about the way it feels. So you guys can get creative at home. I myself use cinnamon powder to create the cone and give it that texture of a roughness. So even when you touch it, you can feel that it has that rough feeling to it. And then I use construction paper on the top for my ice cream just to give it a different texture than the paper that it's already on. The following element we're going to talk about is shape, which is flat enclosed area of an artwork. So for my cone, I ended up just making different shapes within the actual ice cream cone. I used a lot of triangles and rectangles and circles, and I just had fun with different colors to fill it in. And then I gave it a black and white background just to make it pop in my book, but just to also show all the different shapes as well. When we talk about the element of space, it really is the depth of your picture. Is there a foreground? Is there a background? So for mine, I ended up just giving a hand to the ice cream cone and putting a beach design behind it just to show that you're actually at somewhere and it's not just a floating ice cream cone on a piece of paper. And lastly, we're going to talk about the element of form, which is 3D shapes that are enclosed spaces that have a length and a width. So for this, I broke up each part of my cone just to give it different shapes. There's actually a cone at the bottom, and then there's some spheres as well. I wanted to show where light was hitting each shape just so that you can see that it has this 3D dimension to it as well. Now, this doesn't have to be perfect. These are just sketches for yourself just for reference. Again, we left this area in the bottom right corner of your page to leave space for your definitions. So I want you guys to take a few minutes to write down your definitions in your book. That way you can always reference them later on throughout the year. Once completed, this is what your element of design review should look like. You will be taking a picture of this and uploading it on Teams for the due date. I hope all this review helped, and I can't wait for our next video. See you soon. Bye.